And welcome everybody, and ciao to Tuscany, the Tuscany Grand Prix or Tuscan Grand Prix, whichever. I'm not sure what the pronunciation is. We're going to find out that question and many more later on in the show, where we talk to our expert Fabio. He's an expert on all things Italian. Why is that
Yeah,
exactly?
well, especially Tuscan things.
Yes.
For,
Of course,
yeah,
just down the
for
road. Yes,
reasons.
yes, yes. Yeah, you can tell by the accent. He's got a regional
Yeah,
Tuscan accent.
right. Yeah, of course.
And there you go. Okay, so we were at our second race in Italy this week, and it was a cracker. Yes,
Yeah.
mainly on cars. The wear and tear on this circuit is extreme, and I think in total they must have done probably in excess of 20 million worth of damage to the cars this week. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to go through if I can and just tell you what happened in the race. But there was too much to cover, so I'll do it fairly quickly.
Hmm.
Basically, pole was won by Lewis at the last moment, a fantastic pole. With honourable mention, of course, for Leclerc, who managed to drag a car up from the back of the grid to finish fifth, I think, in pole
Hmm.
on the thing. So that was fantastic of him, and we'll hear more about that later. First lap, there was a huge spin by Carlos Sainz, and he also Max Verstappen was hit from behind. I think there was a problem with another couple of cars doing that. Uh, and then safety car came out, and this was to be the trend of the Grand Prix as it happened. Yeah, there was
Hmm.
skis. Gasly was squeezed, didn't have anywhere to go. He hit Verstappen, and Sainz span trying to avoid the accident. Vettel got involved somehow. Very unlucky again. A little indecisive, I feel, but there we go. And of course, Verstappen, the innocent party. So that really robbed us of what could have been a fantastic race, and so it left just the two Mercedes at the front to fight it out. Now, Bottas did really well at the beginning of this race because he took the lead on the second thing, and really his restarts were very good up until the point where they weren't good, and then of course Lewis
Yeah.
got by, and that was that. That was the end of the race. Lewis won, Bottas second, and somebody good third. Who came third? Hmm. Can't remember who came third. I will tell you very shortly. Third
Albon.
was Albon. Yes, a good
Yeah.
third by Albon.
Hmm.
Anybody else possibly taking third couldn't finish. There was a little
Yeah.
while up there where Leclerc was in third, and we were
Hmm.
very helpful for Leclerc on the podium, but
Yeah.
unfortunately not. Anyway, after the restart, there was another crash behind the safety car, and just about everybody else got taken out.
Mm.
And that just left. I can't remember. Giovinazzi, I think, was the man that slowed. Started, realised he'd gone too soon, and then backed off, and that led
I think
everybody else to back themselves up. Go ahead,
I think the problem was from Russell.
Russell.
He kept, yeah. I mean, I saw there was a video. There is a video somewhere that shows all the camera car, and basically it was Russell which left a huge gap, and then he accelerated, but then he had to brake, and and everybody behind saw him going, so they
Right.
went,
Okay.
and
Okay.
there was that concertina effect.
Okay. So basically, no, no, no. Grosjean called
Mm.
him a stupid idiot,
Yeah,
and was he trying to kill everybody? I feel that's a little unlikely. Not everybody, just probably Grosjean.
yeah,
But that's my bias. That's my bias. Okay. Anyway, then there was the third restart, and that's the one
hmm
where Lewis really clicked. I mean, he got it down, and he was away first. Really managed to squeeze Bottas into the corner. He went around the outside into turn one, and that was it. We never looked back. Again, Leclerc starting fantastically. He drove an
yeah.
excellent race. He was unlucky
He
in
drove a
some
good
ways.
race. Yeah, yeah. Considering
Uh,
that he was driving a truck. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I've realised now he was in a tractor. There is
yeah,
such a thing as a Ferrari tractor, and
yeah.
and I'm guessing that's who he was working for. What's the name? Giovanni Ferrari or something? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, there you go. Anyway, then the red points followed up. The red points, the racing points, tracing points, whatever you want to call them, followed up. They had a pretty good race. Uh, Daniel Ricciardo also.
Yeah, I was hoping for Danny Richard. I was hoping to get him third, but
Mm,
yeah, Albon got the best of him.
Yeah, which is fair. Which is fair. He's in a better car, so that's
Mm.
fair enough. Anyway, then Leclerc started getting mugged left, right, and centre by
Yeah.
the Mercedes copies, and that was just unfortunate. Stroll got up at one point, and then uh, a few other people started going racing around. Albon still charging through the pack, like always, had a great race. And as I said, he was probably the standout racer of the whole event, I thought myself, which is good to hear because he's had such a torrid time. Lap 28, of course, that was pit time. And that's when the Ricciardo fell down the track, down the list, only to try and come back. But in the end, of course, when all the pit stops were said and done by lap 30, 32, something like that, there was not a lot to it. So Ricciardo made his way back up on fresh tyres again, up to third. But of course, Albon then had the fresher tyres at the end of the race, and that allowed him to take Ricciardo for third place around the outside in turn one.
Mhm.
Most of the overtaking was done in turn one. So at the end of
Yeah.
the straight, exactly as someone predicted last week.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
someone else naysayed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Anyway, winner comes home. Hamilton,
Yeah.
Bottas, Albon, Ricardo, in that order, probably that timing as well. If you were to time in between, like I was saying it, you'd see that matches exactly with the timing of the clock. And of course, then Perez, Lando, good race, and Kvyat making the most. So there we go. That meant, of course, that the Drivers' Championship is Lewis Hamilton. Lewis, the Hamilton. 190 points. Valtteri, the Butler Bottas, 135. Max Verstappen, the Crash Verstappen. Maxident Crash Stappen. Who he suffered again, 110. And Lando in fourth place. Well done, Lando. Followed closely by Alex Albon.
Yeah, there was some last lap, really interesting action. I think one, there has to be an honorable mention for Kimi Raikkonen, which, despite having 5 second penalty, he managed to get into the points. And I was really sorry for Russell because he just missed it by, yeah, by really nothing. So that was bad luck for the guy.
Yeah.
Verstappen, yeah, he crashed at the beginning, but he had problem with the engine just from the get go.
Ah,
It
yes.
was complaining about the engine before the first corner was over. I Anderson, Hernandez, Janets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure. I mean, he went into the sand, but I'm not sure he would have finished the race. Oh, and by the way, can we have a whole championship at Mugello? Because that race was fucking incredible. I mean,
Well,
that
I
was
don't want to
brilliant.
disagree too much, but it was a good race. But of
That
course,
that was brilliant.
yeah.
Listen, it's an old style track, medium to fast
Mm,
corners, and the best thing is that there is no bloody tarmac outside the corners.
mm,
You make a mistake, you pay.
yeah.
There
Very
is
true.
there is sand and grass, so fuck it. There is no, well, yeah, I'm gonna try this corner. No, you don't try this corner. If you fail, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
So that I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, I I've got to say, yeah, I called the first corner as a point for overtake. I have to admit I missed a lot of other corners, and the reason being the fact that, so my previous experience with Mugello, which is let's say extensive, but it's, I mean, I I've been there quite some time. Is that and it was really really astonishing for me to watch it because there were corners that with an F1 there were not corners anymore. I mean, there were some breaking. There were some places where there is usually a breaking point that it was flat out, and I'm so during the qualifying the Casanova Savelli and then the two Arrabbiata, two right corners, going uphill. I mean, they were going flat out, and that is, it's unheard of. I never seen any car from any class doing that kind of shit. And also the last S, the I can't remember the name. Because a very good thing about that track is that the corners have fucking names. They haven't got
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
So
Even if they're
uh,
in.
yeah,
Yeah. Go
of
ahead.
course. Right. So the I'm trying to remember the name of the two S's of the S before the Correntaio corner, the one which puts on the straight. The well, eventually come out to me. So
Yeah.
those are corners that, especially in motorcycle. I mean, they're quite tricky corners, and that's just flat out. There is no. It's just full throttle. Go ahead. So I missed that part because I honestly thought that there were corners that the F1 simply they do not think they're corners. They're just
Mm.
straight. So yeah, but no, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting track just for the fact that you don't see that kind of tracks anymore. So all the drivers, as far as I can tell, according to what they declared after the qualifying and stuff like that, they were pretty much stoked about the track. They
Mm.
were all really happy of driving there. They were surprised, and but overall there was a very positive reaction. And yeah, I mean, I loved that race. I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the first part of the race after the getaway was quite stagnant, and really what made the race was the restarts.
Hmm.
There was, once people had a differential in tires, then you
Yeah.
could get some overtaking. But the first part of the race, where the first 11 were on the same soft tire, there was
Hmm.
virtually no overtaking, and Lewis couldn't get anywhere near the back of Bottas at the beginning, enough to overtake him anyway. A couple of times he tried and turn one, but he wasn't going to be close enough.
Yeah.
So, disappointing in that respect. But I again, maybe it was artificial. Maybe it was a little artificial. I completely agree with you that the old style tracks where you make a mistake, and it's
Yeah.
likely to be a race-ending mistake, not
Yeah.
because of crashing, but because of going into the dirt or whatever, or getting
Right.
stuck.
Right.
Like
It,
Verstappen, right? I mean, well, he didn't
yeah.
make a mistake, but once he was in the gravel trap, it
Oh
was
yeah.
too
Yeah. Fuck.
too deep for him to get out, just like the
Right.
old days used to be.
Right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the kind of track that deserve, that they asked for respect and they deserve respect. In a way,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Monaco. You know,
Hmm.
uh, the only thing is that it's
It's
Monaco
safer.
and faster. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
faster.
Right, right.
The drivers, I remember, the radio when they were doing, that fast section, the second section, the
Hmm.
fast one, on the radio, you could hear that, they were breathing really hard because it's a series of corner they don't breathe, and I mean, it's a massive series of corner. So yeah, it asks for respect. It's a track which uh, doesn't give too much confidence
Mm.
to people, but it requires a lot of testicular fortitude in order for to go
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah, and that's again why Leclerc was extremely impressive, right?
Yes. Wow. I mean, I sent you a message. I couldn't fucking believe that the guy got fifth.
Mm.
It was. I mean, I have no fucking idea how he managed to do that. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, presumably they put a ton of downforce on the car, and he just ballsed it out, So good on
Hmm.
him. Good on him. Um, it'd be interesting to see, next year how he does match up to Science and whether Science can get anywhere close to him.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting battle coming up. This
Hmm.
Grand Prix, though, I would say is one that's going to be well worth a rewatch,
Yes.
in its full sort of race thing rather than highlights, because you get a bit funny with highlights. But this one is going to be worth watching virtually every lap on
Yeah.
that they race. So and it'll stand all for a long time like that as being one of those classics because there were so many crashes on restart, and towards the end there was a lot of good racing. So
Yeah. Talking about the restarts, I listen
there's been
from an
a lot of controversy about them. So
Yeah, so I listened about especially the first restart, the one under the safety car. Everybody was complaining because the So the safety car line was is at the same point as the start finish line, and that
Mm,
being an old track, and rightly so, the finish line is not at the beginning of the straight; is it's just midway to the box. So a lot of people were complaining, and a lot of people blame the accident because of the fact that basically the start line for the pace car
mm,
for the safety car was in the middle of the straight. I have to say I don't agree with that. I mean, the restart line is just an arbitrary point, right?
uh-huh.
I don't think it makes a lot of difference if it's a beginning of the straight, in the middle, or the end of the straight. It's just there.
Yeah.
So I think it was a massive mistake, from some drivers. And actually, I also some more experienced drivers, namely people, which have driven in Formula Indy and kart, that they really used those kind of restarts, and
Uh-huh.
they pointed the finger, the kind of mistakes that were made. Basically the fact that, well, you don't start when the person in front of you just goes. You got to have a little bit of experience and stuff like that. And I think it's not by chance that
Uh,
Raikkonen and Vettel, which were at the end of the pack, so on
yeah.
paper they would have been two cars involved in the thing. They just drove by. They managed to avoid everything because they knew better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Right. Riken on the radio said exactly at that time. He said, "Oh, it's probably people just starting too soon, going
yeah,
before the people in front had gone."
yeah, yeah.
There you go. So there you go. There's the old hand saying, "Yeah, look,
Right,
you can't just treat it like everybody's going to go away and that's that. That's not what
right.
happens. You've got to wait until you can see the road slightly clear, see the two cars in front have gone,
Yeah,
and the guy in front has put his foot down. Then you can go."
and
And
and especially.
that's fair enough. But I'll just say one other thing, which is
Mhm,
they've been spoiled in Formula One by the fact that
yes,
they've moved the start line into a position where it's never possible just to put your foot down ahead of
yes,
time, right? And
yes.
and I think that's the issue. This is the old style restarts here,
Hmm.
okay, where the start line, as you're saying, is halfway down the track, so
Yeah,
everybody's just like, oh, great, we're going, right? Green
yeah.
lights, go. There you are,
Which,
right?
which again, I mean, if you ask me, that makes sense. In all the other circuit, they have uh, they basically move. So they have two lines. One is for the start finish line, and the other one is for the safety car.
Uh-huh.
And again, why is that? Nobody really knows. Because
Well,
listen,
we do
eh,
know
eh,
there were accidents like at
well,
Monaco.
yeah, okay, but the thing is that if everybody knows that this is the point where you can overtake, I
Mm,
mean, yeah, I can see that you want to try to get there at full throttle, but if you go there too fast and you overtake people, you're forced to stop anyway. So it's not that it's really bloody rocket science, and
mm,
so if you have a little bit more of experience, like Vettel and Raikkonen had, they just figure out that there was something wrong going on. So I don't know what the fuck those guys are doing, but this is not the way it's supposed to be working, and they were right. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, Martin Brundle said it perfectly at the time, of course, and which was, yeah, this is going to be a tricky one because of where the start line is. They like, if Valtteri goes at the corner before, that will
Yeah,
mean the whole straight. Lewis will have the whole straight to overtake him, and
right,
if he goes as slow as he can up until the start line and then goes, that's going to cause a problem in the back of the pack.
right.
So
But
now we're saying, well, do we want the person restarting the race to lose his position? That doesn't make sense, does it? So
well,
again, and as for just for moving the start finish
mhm.
line to a safety car line, of course, people were overtaking early, and so they had to then designate a line, right,
Yeah,
where they were
yes,
saying,
that's why I said it's an arbitrary line, and
mm,
and it goes back to the fact of experience. Nobody in his right mind would have thought that whoever the guy at the front was, okay, he would have never made a launching start, a really fast rolling start,
yeah,
because you don't want to give all the all the clean air for the other guy to overtake you. You want to make a start as slow as you can, so that
Yeah,
the straight becomes shorter, and you
yeah,
get
yeah.
there slower. So and again, this is experience. You figure it out, and okay, if I were in front, that's exactly what I was going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Whoever was
So
in front would have done
yeah,
that. I think.
yeah.
I think they all got told via radio for the second restart there'd be no more of that, and in fact they were going to have a slightly faster start, and so they probably told
I think that all
Valkyrie to get on with it a bit sooner and not keep the speed so low, which is what allowed Lewis to get past.
I think that all the other restarts were standing starts.
Oh no, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're
Yeah,
right. They did. Yeah.
and yeah, and maybe that was one of the reasons why they figure
Mm.
out, okay, these guys are fucking dumb. Let's make them start from
Yeah, they're
from
greedy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
yeah,
racing drivers. So come on
right,
now. Yeah, yeah.
right,
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah,
I grant you that. Okay, so that was quite interesting, really, in
hmm,
that respect. I think it's a bit controversial still, and they need to sort out safety car rules. I really do. It's been a bit of a. I've been ignoring it for a while because it's sometimes you get the rub of it, sometimes you don't, and I guess that's the luck of the draw. But like with the pit lane rules,
yeah,
okay, some people get the advantage, some people don't. And in
right,
IndyCar, they've kind of sorted it out where they say as soon as the safety car comes out, the pit lane's
yeah,
shut. End of fucking story. Then they
right.
open the pit lane at a certain point where they know everybody can get in.
Well, that was
Mm.
yeah, but you see, in a way, it all depends where you are when the safety car leaves the pit. Because I
Mm.
think that happened to Lewis. I think the first or the
Yeah, yeah.
so the second or third time, it
Hmm.
was just it was just ahead of the entry lane for the pit, and so he couldn't get in,
Mm.
and then it was, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah, but
regardless,
yeah, but I'm
I
saying
think.
in IndyCar, as soon as they
Mhm,
throw the double yellows, the
right.
yellows for the circuit, and they know the
Yeah, yeah,
safety car's coming out, that's it. If that moment is when the pit lane is shut.
yeah.
All
No, I
right,
see what
and then
you're saying.
later
Yeah,
on they say, right, well, once all the cars have got up behind the safety car,
right.
then we open the pit lane, and it
Yeah.
leads to a chaos in the pits, of course, but it equals out the advantage that everybody has because everybody can just dive in and do their pits. You know.
Well, no, yeah, no, no. I see your point. You're right. But I got to say that regardless of that, I'd rather have people complaining and talking about the rules under the safety car
Mm,
rather than the virtual safety car. That has to go. I mean, I don't want to see that anymore. And apparently, the current trend in F1 is that if you need a virtual safety car, it's got to be a safety car because it was so too stupid. There were things even last year where you couldn't really figure out what the fuck was happening. Some people were getting 3 seconds, and some other people were losing 2 seconds. And on
right.
paper, they should have doing the same speed, but they just didn't. So I understand that it's a bummer for the person, in front, but the
Yeah.
safety car is a safety car, and it just stops everybody, and somebody will get fucked. Yeah, I know,
Uh,
but that
okay.
happens.
Okay. Well, maybe we have a slight disagreement on that then.
Hmm.
There's a surprise that we disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. Any other news that you can think of offhand here? I'm just looking it up myself. So yeah.
No, as I said, I was really, really sad for Williams. I hope that
Mm,
they got the first points, and that didn't happen. I was really happy for Kimi because he managed to ride, a good race considering the car that he has. Uh, I, I mean, I was not surprised by the Ferrari performances. I think that car is really fucked up, and
mm,
it's. Uh, I'm I really don't know what to think about the fact that it seems to be that they're not bringing anything new. Uh, so I don't know. I mean, because at the beginning I was kind of frustrated by the fact, okay, fuck, they're not even trying. but maybe the problems are so deep that
Mm.
it's not a simple new wing or a simple thing which can solve the problems. I so My new theory, which is supported by nothing, is that
Good, good.
yeah, is that so the, besides the fact that they have major problems in all the areas, I think one of the areas that they might have a really really serious problem is the bottom of the car.
Mm.
Uh, the 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 bottom of the car is it's a very tricky component, meaning that everybody tries to have as much downforce as they can in the corners. But then what they would like to do is that downforce would magically disappear in the straights, so you don't have drag.
Mm.
And there are ways to do that. There are ways you can calculate how much of the fluids, when the fluids break down on the bottom, so they're not effective anymore. I
Uh,
think they made some major mistakes in that area, and that is a very, very, very tricky area because the bottom of the car basically dictates a lot of things, including some internal components placement, and which they dictate the outer shape of the aerodynamics. It's a big cascade effect, which I'm not really sure. The other thing which I'm worried about is the fact that for next year, I think by mid September, so I think today or tomorrow, they have to all the teams have to call the parts that are going to be homologated for next year, uh, and they will only have two tokens for next year. And I tried to find info, but I haven't found any info on what they homologated for next year, especially Ferrari. And I think it's a very, very, very tricky situation because, just to make an example, if they homologate the suspensions, right? Let's say they homologate the suspension, but it turns out that the suspensions are wrong. If you want to change suspensions, you're going to spend two tokens, and that's all the tokens that you have to spend for next year. So
yeah.
it's very, very tricky. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's the word on the paddock is that next year is gonna be a bad car, which I
Mhm.
can totally see unless they pull
Yeah,
something out
same,
of the
more of the same for everybody, really, isn't it?
yeah.
So,
So yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be bad for everybody, but apparently tracing point, because I mean, the guys are not even trying anymore. Once uh, all the things have been dropped,
hmm
those guys are not even trying. So
yeah,
in Mugello, they came. I think it was Stroll that they
strong.
had the new rear part, which was the Hockenheim part that Mercedes brought last year. So they're not even trying
Yeah,
to say, oh, it's not the old car. I mean, apparently they got really good photographers, so that's why they're making a
yeah,
massive
yeah.
development. I
They
have
do
no
have
idea.
very good photographers, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, it's disappointing that the COVID thing happened because we were right in the middle of the change, trying to get things worked out for a more efficient Formula One car, which was going to give us closer racing, etc. And we were going to get
yeah. Hmm.
this, you'd be able to follow the cars. And
Yeah,
of course, that's not to be. So we've got another year to wait, which has really
yeah,
put the kibosh on these teams coming through, and that's another reason why what Tracing Point have done is
yeah,
very, very clever timing on top of being a clever timing to break the rules, or not break the
yeah,
rules, but stretch the rules to their advantage.
yeah,
And it also comes as a very unlucky time for Ferrari, who were gearing up, it's presumably to have a really great 2021 car, which they
yeah.
can't bring to the track. So all of the work that they've done is a little bit behind.
Yeah, they turn out with, I think it's the worst car in the last, I don't know, I would say 30 years, but maybe more.
Yes,
It's
70,
one of
70s,
the,
I would say.
yeah,
70s, yeah.
one of the worst car, that they ever did. It's
Mm,
really, incredible. Sorry, talking about cars. Before I forget, we are talking about the tracing point before, the
mm,
pink Mercedes. Just a quick thing about uh, parrots, which, I mean, I'm not a fan of parrots at all, right?
mm.
But I was really disappointed by the way that he has been treated by Racing Point. Uh,
Okay.
so, and mainly, I mean, I understand what has happened. Okay, I get it. I'm not that dumb. One driver is the son of the owner. Of course, he's gonna stay there, and the other one is gonna be Sebastian Vettel. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's not too much to discuss. Still, I'm really disappointed by how they treated the guy. I mean, let's not forget that Perez was the guy which saved that team. What, 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Mm.
when it was on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bankruptcy.
When Rich
It was,
Energy was thinking of buying it, yeah.
yeah. So it was only because of that guy and the money that he brought that the team was saved. And he's not as a shitty driver as I always paint him to be.
No, no, of course.
So
When he was at Sauber, he almost won a race.
yeah,
First time Sauber would have won a race at the time as well, I think.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I was really disappointed for a driver, which I don't really, I'm not really rooting for the guy, but still, I got to be fair. That
Mm.
was really shitty of the guy. I think it was caught in a situation where there was really no alternative. So yeah,
Yeah, I
still,
mean, again, it is unfortunate, but when the new team owners were found, he must have known the numbers didn't add up because they didn't need his
yeah,
financial backing anymore.
yeah,
And that's what gave him the big power in that team and the other team he was in before that, which I can't remember offhand.
yeah,
Because he was a paid driver,
hmm
um, he was the first big paid driver. And as such, he's always had a bit of a charmed life, just like Stroll, in the way he's come in and been able to get by himself into teams and
yeah,
learn and gain experience. Not that he's a bad driver. Again, I
hmm
say when he was with Sauber, I think he came second in
yeah,
maybe Japan or somewhere like that. I can't remember. Um, and it was a really good race. He earned that race as well.
hmm
So
yeah,
he's been off and he's been good. He's never been first class. He's never been a superstar driver,
hmm
but he's always been top of the second, the B class.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I feel sorry for him in that respect. But
yeah,
again, I think he's said a few things which were a little unwise,
yes,
bearing in mind that his money is no longer required, and maybe he thought because he did bring money, he'd have a bit more clout than he really
yeah,
does have.
yeah,
So maybe it's a misjudgment on his part, um, you know, and um, he hasn't been that impressive. I've got to say,
hmm
compared to Stroll, I don't think he's been that impressive in the last few years. So I'd have expected him to have like walked the plank with Stroll and just said, "Look, you're a young rookie, you don't stand a chance." Actually, Stroll has been pretty much on his coattails all the way through, if
yeah,
not beating him sometimes. I think last year they were really close on. Um, qualifying. It's like
yeah.
11-10 or something.
And now, of course, it's going to be even shittier because Dad owned the team. So we saw even with the two cars, only Stroll at the new Aero and not Parrots.
Of course, yeah, of course. That's expected though. That would
Yeah,
happen at any team. If you're the driver going out, like with Ferrari. Yeah, I have no doubt that if Ferrari turn up with any new bits, they're going straight on Leclerc's car. They're not going to go on Vettel's car. You
no,
know,
well, yeah,
of
yeah,
course, it's to be expected. So, um, I wouldn't really
mm,
blame Racing Point for that, and there's no point in trying to give Perez a really great finish, and etc. etc. I'll be sorry
yeah,
to see him go because he's always given good races.
mm,
That's one thing I will say. He's a real trier, and he's got a lot of experience in F1, of course. So from that aspect, I'd be sorry to see him go.
yeah,
However, it's the changing of the guard, as we've been saying for a little while, and there's plenty of drivers that are going to come through because Vettel isn't going to last that long. and
Yeah.
he'll be bored after a year or two. So it'll just mean that one of the younger drivers gets promoted into a semi-decent team, and on the wheel goes the Formula One wheel of drivers.
Albon probably saved his job for next year. With that single
No,
race.
no, no, no.
Oh,
No. I don't
you
think so.
think he's on? You think he's on the go?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm. I don't think any results that he gets would change their mind now. They've either decided he's gone, or they've
Mhm.
decided he's staying.
It's really funny about talking about Red Bull. How much it seems that the single map rule has affected them in
Yeah,
a weird way. The way that
yeah,
not all the other cars seem to be affected, including Toro Rosso, which has the same engine.
yeah.
It's really weird. It seems to me they have all these problems with the engine, and even when they're going, well, it seems to be that got problems that they never had before. It looks like what last year McLaren,
Yeah,
engine wise, that you never know. I mean, if it goes like Sting,
spot
but
on.
if it doesn't, it just it's a
Yeah,
fucking mess.
spot on.
So
Because of course these are Adrian Newey cars,
yeah,
and Adrian Newey, ex McLaren, of course, designer. He likes to wrap his cars as tight as you can get them for aerodynamic purposes, and that's what the Honda didn't like when it was at McLaren. Right, McLaren
yeah, but
traditionally wrap their car real tight and then work on heating, work on
yeah, but it,
overheating problems. So I think that that's what's going on here.
yeah, but
Go
it
ahead.
seemed to be that they either found a way, or they found some way around that problem by when they were able to change the engine maps and so forth. And now, I mean, it might be just by chance, might be just
Uh-huh.
what has happened in the last two races might not have nothing to do with the new rule, but it seems to be that this has become the case, that
Yeah,
the single map doesn't really fit that car really well, either because they try to put a map which stress the engine too much and they break
hmm,
down. They have no, well, I don't know. I mean, it's really weird. And
yeah,
it's not a problem of reliability, because when they fail like boom. It seems to be they give no signs before
hmm,
they just fell down. I mean, Verstappen had problems
on the warm
before
up.
the,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they just dismantled the car. And by the way, talking about dismantling the car, I think somebody was really interested when Stroll crashed the car, and they had to tear down the inside of the car to put it down, the fire. I think there was some engineers that were really interested in the pictures that were shown when the car was pulled apart by the firemen.
indeed, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Fortunately, none of them have experience at Mercedes, so nothing to be gained. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, no, I think it's you were right to point to the McLaren problem with the Honda, which was of course
Hmm.
generally overheating and loss of power.
Mm.
Uh, and I think they one of the things Red Bull and Toro Rosso have been doing, Alpha Bollocks, have been doing was turning the engines down when they started to get hot for a little while, and then turning them back up again. So they'd really been using the different engine modes to control
Hmm.
heat,
Yeah.
and so that allowed them to have a more streamlined car than perhaps they have to now.
Yeah.
And
Maybe, I don't know.
maybe Max just wasn't careful on the outlap, and his car overheated a little too much, and that
Yeah.
caused a problem with one of the sensors.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
don't know. There was some weird things happening during the race too. It was really funny when they asked Bottas and Lewis, to stay away from the curbs, and Lewis was keep asking, "Oh, I'm going to slow if I stay out of the curbs. Are you sure that everybody's staying out of the curbs?" And when he said everybody, he meant Bottas.
he meant Bottas,
It,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah. How many
I mean,
curbs? Which
Yeah.
curbs?
Which curves? All of them. Oh, talking about radios, the best radio ever was from, again, Kimi Raikkonen is gonna be the fucking star of the radio. When the engineer told him we got 5 seconds penalty, and the guy asked for what? So, oh, we got 5 second penalty, and he screamed for what? So they had to tell him. I was fucking insane. You know,
What did he get the 5 seconds for?
he got the
Let's
five
go, let's
seconds
go through
because
that.
no, because he got into the pit lane at the very last second. He tried to go there and then went straight, and then he caught the pit lane entrance. So they gave him 5 seconds for some. I mean, that was a stupid shit. I mean, and it was already during the safety car, so it's not
Yeah,
it was during the race. But still, I mean, rule is rule, and so they gave him 5 seconds,
yeah, yeah.
and he actually managed, to keep the car inside, inside the points. So that was a very brilliant race for the guy. Yeah,
Good,
loved it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I enjoyed watching it because of all the action, of course.
Hmm.
Because it was a stop-start race and many starts and all of that. I don't like this stationary start stuff. I think this is a little
Yeah.
bit taking the piss myself. So every time there's a safety car, if we're going to have a race start again, well,
Hmm.
no, I think that's rubbish. But anyway, that's my opinion. So we'll have to see how that goes in the
No, I
future.
agree with you. It's good for the show, though. I mean,
Yeah,
the start
undoubtedly.
is all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the start is always the most dynamic part of the race. Is the one where things can really happen.
yeah.
So but I don't think that they complain too much about the fact. You know what? Oh fuck, we got to restart again. Oh, what a bummer. Yeah, let's do that.
Well, everybody behind is loving it. It's just the person at the front that
Oh
don't,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fuck yeah.
So, but and again, I don't mind because, of course, Lewis took advantage of it in the end. Right? You give him enough chances, he's going to take advantage, and he got enough
Well,
chances.
li- listen, if they keep doing that, maybe, just maybe, Lewis will say, okay, you know what, I got to really begin to learn how to fucking make a proper start, because I can't rely every time on the fact that my car is faster, because if next time they restart the race and it's only 10 laps,
Mm,
if somebody gets ahead, it might get tricky.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, to me, it seems like this is another mid-season change, right? And so, of course, they will design into the clutches next year, bearing in mind that they're going to be
mhm,
expecting several race starts.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And that'll be fine, and then everybody be on the level playing field again. But I
Yeah.
still think it's a cheap trick. I really do. I don't like it. So,
No, but
I,
that's a very good point. I was really surprised that they were actually able to make that many restarts.
mm, yeah, me
I,
too.
wa- I said, okay, fuck it. I mean, I'm expecting one of those cars, to have the clutch, which is simply not working anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
or overheated and it's just slow,
yeah,
won't
yeah,
engage, or da da da. I remember a couple of Williams at the front, maybe Mansell and PK, I think it
hmm,
was, going back to this probably in the 80s. And, this particular year, there were a lot of like false starts,
yeah,
right, where one car doesn't get away or something like that because it overheats because they spend too much time on the grid. Again, this is back in the days when cars were very, very sensitive to this kind of
yeah.
thing.
But I mean that's
And
that's all.
they come round, they start again, another false start. They come round, they try and start again, and
Yeah,
of course, half the clutches on the field fail.
right,
You know?
right.
So
Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's a testament of the material that they managed to put on the cards right
mm,
now. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, they use clutches that are literally the size of a
mm.
tea
Testicle.
saucer. Yeah,
Yes,
well,
tea sorter.
well,
Okay, yeah,
yeah, yeah. One of my testicles, maybe, but let's say a piece.
yeah.
And I mean, if you keep in mind, it is a clutch which is that big. It basically has to deal with the power that a
Mm,
modern truck that you see on the road has to deal with. It's mind blowing.
yeah, yeah,
How
of
they
course.
do not explode after one start. You know, and they
Yeah,
made
let
three
alone
of them.
three. Yeah,
Oh, and I mean, and not including all the times that they got to stop to change the tires. So
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the modern cars are incredible. They are much more robust than they used to be. That's for sure.
Hmm.
And and that's a good thing, I suppose. But
Yeah.
there was a certain sense that I liked the delicacy of those old
Yes.
cars. You know, there was something else about them. They looked great in corners. They
Hmm.
looked fast, even though clearly their downforce wasn't as good as the modern cars are. So maybe there's something missing there. But there you go. Maybe I'm just an old fogey, and I like how it used to be.
I just gave you. I mean, you're getting old, man. I mean, I just gave you a good invite to talk about the tires, and you didn't get it.
I
Come on.
didn't. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not interested in the tyres this year. I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it seems like they're pretty good this year. I'll be honest with you.
There you go.
It looks like Pirelli have finally sorted themselves out with it. I think mainly because the cars are so fast that Pirelli are just having to bring the toughest rubber they've got anyway, and
Yeah.
there's hardly any difference between them now.
Right.
So just for safety reasons, right? Because these cars have got putting so much force through the tires that Pirelli can't mess about like they used to. Like putting softs on and all of this kind of stuff. And I think that'll be the trend for the rest of the year, to be honest with you.
Mm.
And into next year, I don't think we're going to have much problems with the tyres next year either. Other than they get to the end of their life and then they're just completely fucking useless. But
And
that's
then they go with the 17 inches rims.
they look horrible. I'll be honest with
I
you.
love them. I love them.
Okay, the Formula 2 cars look really terrible as far as I'm
I
concerned.
love them.
Okay, another disagreement. Well,
Yeah.
next week on Let's Disagree on Everything F1, Fabio and I will be at somewhere else, another Italian circuit probably. No, I'm
We
going to start
yeah, I
looking it
think the
up now.
next one is Imola. Yeah.
No, no, it's not till September, I think.
Okay.
Let me have a look.
But it's next race, isn't it?
Well, I thought they were going somewhere else to start with.
That would
Let's
be
just have a
pretty
look.
stupid. I mean,
Just have a look. Russia next. Yeah,
oh,
Italy,
oh
Italy,
yeah,
Russia. I think they're going off Italy, Russia, Germany, Portugal, then Italy again in October, November.
yeah. When it's going to rain,
Yeah.
because Imola during the rain is always a fun place to be. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to the second Bahrain, which will just be like a semi-oval. I think that'll be quite fun.
Oh, they changed it. They changed the track for the second race. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the second race, they're just going to use the outside circuit.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 3/4 of the first circuit and then
Uh-huh.
none of the inside part of the track. And it's just like an S section with a slow chicane in it. And
And they're gonna
that'll be
make
that.
part of the race with camels too. I don't know.
I don't know, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've all got a carrier camel with them or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That reminds me of when that guy decided to put diamonds on. That was a funny one. We'll talk about that sometime. But anyway,
Yeah.
Monaco Grand Prix way back,
Hmm.
and everyone's saying it was one of the dodgiest things to happen in Formula
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. You're talking about the guy which put a diamond in front of the nose. What car was
That's
that?
it. Yeah, yeah, that's the one. I don't know, but was it a Flavio Briatore car, perhaps? No,
I
Toyota.
can't.
It was a Toyota.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was a Toyota, but I don't
Fucking
know
idiot.
why. It's shit, but there you go. And like Formula One engineering, of course, it fell off straight away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, so the next one is Sochi, which is
Hmm.
Russia, and
Yeah.
the Russian, and lots of Russian people speaking very Russian, and probably trying to bribe someone to win the race. I would have thought Lewis
Right.
Hamilton loves this race, of course, having won
So
there so many times.
we go from a brilliant track to to one of the shittiest track ever.
Yeah,
That's that.
it's not great. Again, it's got a long straight, but into a sharp corner. So yes, you can get some overtaking done there, which is good. And it's got that exciting corner anyway, which you can kind of overtake. I remember Kimi Raikkonen doing a last-minute overtake at the end of that 180-degree, like what would you call it,
Well,
parabolica.
you you can't really judge a corner to be able to be overtaken. If Kimi does that, because Kimi will try to.
Yeah, he doesn't need a corner. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no.
If he feels like it, so yeah, you
Yeah,
know what? Yeah, Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Nobody's tried
absolutely.
that. It doesn't ask himself why nobody's tried that. Say, whoa, nobody's
Eh,
tried that. Yeah, cool.
let's do that.
I
Yeah,
can
I
do that.
mean,
Yeah.
again, it used to be that the drivers that came up from Formula Two, they were the ones that were the good overtakers because, of course, they'd had a shitload of fucking practice, and they didn't know that you couldn't
Yeah.
overtake in some
Right.
places, so they just did anyway. You know what I mean?
And no, and actually the Formula Two race in Mugello was really really good.
It was,
For that reason too. I mean,
yeah,
they made overtakes, but again, the cars were different. And if you saw the race, you could see what I was talking about before. I mean, they were actually breaking in points where the F1 they just not even considering to be fucking corners, as
yeah,
less as breaking points. They're not even corners. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. Again, the modern F1 car. I'll actually be very pleased when we get off this bandwagon because we'd gone so far down the line of taking downforce off the cars to make them more exciting, to make the racing more exciting, and they managed it for 1 year or 2 years probably. 70 overtakes in a race, and it was
yeah,
like, wow, this is incredible, gimmicky, right, with the DRS, but incredible. And I was thinking, well, we don't need the DRS anymore. We can just, we can just rely on the fact that they don't have much downforce at the rear, and that's just great. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I was hoping that they were just going to get rid of the DRS and keep the wings the same, higher and thinner. Would have been great. But no, of course, the Formula One teams got their way, and the downforce got piled on again. And of course, and mainly because of this fucking stupid engine rule, because the noise wasn't good enough. Right? It
yeah.
wasn't anything to do with the wing setting or the downforce setting. It was just no, we want more exciting cars. Right?
Right.
Oh, okay. We can't change the sound. Let's just make them go quicker and look more exciting in the corners.
Yeah.
Rubbish,
I mean,
rubbish.
have you seen Mick Schumacher trying his father's car when he left?
I didn't know.
Well, yeah, they had. I think they had the 2004 Ferrari, and Mick Schumacher. They basically drove that car at Mugello,
Ah, yes,
and
yes. I know what you mean.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and fuck me, it screams like there is. It's uncanny.
Yeah,
That
it's beautiful,
V10
isn't
was
it?
wow, wow, that was
Mm.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I mean V10s are great. Of course, I'm old enough to go back to the V12 Screamers as well, and
Oh
they were
yeah, no, no,
even more like
I'm
wow.
with you. No, no, I'm
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you. I still have a very soft spot for the 12. So
yeah, yeah. They sound fantastic.
yeah.
Okay, on that note, and sounding really fantastic note, go ahead.
No, before we leave, just a quick thing about the MotoGP race, because there was a
Oh, okay.
funny thing. There was a funny thing that Rossi said at the end of the race. Uh, so I'll tell you the joke first and then explain later. He said, yeah, he's making an announcement and all that stuff. So everybody will say, okay, what the fuck is he going to say? He said, well, I'm closing the race academy because, fuck everybody. And the reason why is that so in Moto 2 there were the first the free ones were Marini, Bezzecchi, and Bastianini, which are free riders that came from the Valentino Rossi Racing Academy. But the thing which happened in MotoGP was that Morbidelli won, and
Yeah.
second was Bagnaia.
Hmm.
Third was Mir, which overtake Rossi, which got fourth just the last three corners. And so Rossi said, you know what, I'm closing the school because these guys are all faster than me. Fuck it. and, and he said, when Bezzecchi passed him, he asked himself, who the fuck had the idea of making that school? And then you remember, oh fuck, it was me. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that always going to happen when you give all your
yeah,
secrets away, right? All the kids are going
yeah,
to go, "Oh yeah, we could do that,"
right,
So,
right. And it
well,
can
I
be
mean, good on
faster.
him again. I got
Yeah.
so much respect for Rossi. I think
Oh
he's,
yeah.
he's not only is he the one of the best riders there has ever
Yeah.
been. And I remember, this is the mark of the man. He went to Isle of Man, TT,
Yeah. Yes.
and took a bike round there.
Right.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's respect. Okay, right
Yes.
there. The guy's got big balls, and he's
Just the fact,
really loves motorcycles.
just showing up there, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, man.
and he was
Y-
fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
went round with a couple of other riders, and he stuck with them. And those
Yeah.
riders were well-known riders around that track.
Right.
So well done, Rossi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the guy's great. I've watched him since he was on 125s, and I've seen his whole career, and I
I,
loved it.
I like him better now. That is not as strong as he used to be than before. I think he's way less insufferable, and I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
appreciate the guy more now than before. And I will skip on the fact that before was the kind of guy which was beating my guys every time, so that wasn't a reason why I didn't like the guy. But no, but I'll skip that. So,
Yeah, yeah, of course. And of course, that's how he became so successful, of course,
yeah.
was to be that insufferable, that one-minded,
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
determined, to get to the top and stay there. Just like Foggy did in Superbikes as well.
I mean, just like Lewis, let's be clear.
And Lewis,
Lewis.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's what you need to be a Formula One champion in such a competitive sport, which is so difficult to stay at the top. When you're relying on the machinery as not just your own talent.
Right.
So there you
Okay.
go. Thank you very much. So 2 weeks' time, it's Russia,
Yep.
and we will look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and ciao, Fabio.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay, that's great.